You are listening to the William Gomes Podcast. I am William Gomes and I am grateful to have you here. Today, I want to explore one of the most widely discussed ideas in autism research and one that has shaped public understanding, education, and even diagnosis for many years. It is the idea that autistic people experience social understanding differently. This episode is about gently unpacking what that really means, without judgment, without stereotypes, and without assuming that social differences reflect a lack of empathy or care. Instead, we will explore social cognition as a way of understanding the world through different cues, rhythms, and expectations. Social cognition refers to how we make sense of other people's thoughts, feelings, and intentions. For many non-autistic individuals, this process is almost automatic. They pick up on subtle facial expressions, shifts in tone, or small changes in body language without thinking about it. But for many autistic individuals, these cues may not be as visible or meaningful. Instead, they rely on clarity, honesty, and explicit communication. This difference is often misinterpreted as disinterest, when it is really a different way of processing social information. One of the biggest misunderstandings is the idea that autistic people lack empathy. This assumption has caused deep harm and shame. Yet research and lived experience consistently show something very different. Many autistic people feel emotions intensely. They care deeply. They notice distress in others, sometimes more than those around them. The challenge is often not feeling empathy, but navigating the fast, layered, and sometimes confusing ways in which emotions are communicated socially. Another challenge involves predicting social behavior. For many autistic individuals, social situations feel uncertain because they rely on unwritten rules. These rules change depending on context, culture, age, and relationship. Predicting what someone will do, what they expect, or what they mean beneath their words can feel like solving a puzzle without all the pieces. This can make conversations tiring, not because the autistic person lacks interest, but because the process requires conscious effort rather than instinct. It is also important to recognize that social communication is not one-directional. Autistic social styles are often clearer, more direct, and more grounded in truth than non-autistic communication. This can be refreshing and honest, but it can also be misunderstood by those who expect indirect signals or unspoken meanings. When autistic and non-autistic people communicate with one another, differences in timing, tone, or interpretation can create confusion on both sides. This confusion is mutual, which is why social difficulties cannot be framed as an autistic issue alone. One powerful way to understand these dynamics is to imagine two people speaking slightly different social languages. Neither language is wrong, neither language is inferior. They simply operate on different rules. When we see autistic communication this way, we stop pathologizing it and start appreciating its clarity, sincerity, and depth. Another important point is that autistic people often build social understanding through observation and learning. They might study patterns in conversation, memorize phrases, or follow scripts that help them navigate interactions. This can be incredibly skilled, but also exhausting. Masking often begins here, trying to hide differences to avoid judgment. Masking might make someone appear socially fluent, but inside they may feel overwhelmed, unsure, or disconnected from their authentic communication style. When autistic people are allowed to communicate in ways that feel natural, their social intelligence shines. Many prefer communication that is direct, meaningful, and free of unnecessary ambiguity. They connect through shared interests, routines, or quiet presence rather than through small talk. They often form deep and loyal relationships when they feel safe and understood. Understanding social cognition in autism helps us respond with more compassion. When a child does not respond to a greeting, it may be because they are processing sensory input or working out how to reply. When a teenager appears blunt, it may be honesty, not rudeness. When an adult avoids a group conversation, it may be exhaustion rather than disinterest. These differences in social behavior always have reasons behind them. The more we respect these differences, the easier it becomes to create environments where autistic people feel valued. Instead of pressuring them to fit into fast-paced social expectations, We can slow down, use clear communication, and give space for processing. We can accept silence, accept directness, and accept alternative ways of showing care. Social cognition is not about deficits. It is about differences in how the social world is understood and experienced. And when we hold those differences with empathy and curiosity, we make room for connection that is genuine, equal, and deeply human. Thank you for listening. This is the William Gomes Podcast. Take care of yourself, stay curious, and I will speak with you again soon.